So as we all know, last week, the Daily Beast had a story about Lauren Bobert and Marjorie Taylor Greene getting into it on the first day of Congress in the ladies' bathroom outside of Congress. And even though there were multiple witnesses, people didn't want to be named, even Democratic Representative Debbie Dingle, who allegedly heard the kerfuffle, said what happens in the ladies' room stays in the ladies' room. We finally got confirmation from Lauren Bobert herself that, oh yeah, there was a fight. Well, shouting match, whatever you want to call it. She was confronted, she says, by Marjorie Taylor Greene and officially confirmed the other parts of that story as well. And this happened late last week in an interview that Boebert gave with former NRA spokesperson Dana Loche, where Loche asked her straight up like, hey, so there was a story, you and Greene kind of getting into it. And Boebert said this. Well, first she said, I'm glad you brought this up. She goes, my colleague from Georgia, the gentlewoman from Georgia, came up and started, being kind of nasty about it. And no one else had been nasty about it. Everyone had been very professional. And so when she started going after me, I looked at her and said, don't be ugly. That's something that my granny used to say to me when I was being a brat. Yeah, I'm not going to lie, you're kind of still a brat. Sorry. But again, in this particular feud here, and it gets worse. I get to that in just a moment. I got to take Greene's side, right? Greene went up to Boebert and said, listen, you're not going to support this guy as Speaker of the House. You're going to put up obstruction for the sake of obstructing when this guy gave you money for your very tough re-election fight. Without that money, you may not have won. What the hell? Like, that's actually reasonable. That is a reasonable question to ask Lauren Bobert. And Boebert's just like, don't be ugly. That's what my grandma says. Meemaw told me, don't be ugly. I get it. But then Loche went to another point. And this was something that, kind of shocked me because I'd always thought this was the case as well. Loche asked, you guys were kind of like BFFs there for a while, weren't you? And I've said that too. Like, these guys used to be bosom buddies, sorry. They were always together. They ran in the same circles, right? They're friends. They seemed good friends. Apparently it was a mirage because Lauren Bobert responded to that question with this. I think the media saw two women in Congress, there was nothing against her. We travel in the same circles, have the same policy views on a lot of things, not everything, but on many things. So according to that statement, Boebert's like, we were never friends. The media saw two women in Congress and thought, oh, they're so much alike, they must be buddies. And I'm not going to lie, she's not wrong. I did that. I mean, you guys seem to agree pretty much on everything except for McCarthy being speaker, so I don't know where else the other differences come from, other than I guess maybe Ukraine. I know that's one thing Marjorie Taylor Greene was upset about. Boebert wants to fund Ukraine and their efforts to fight off Russia. Greene does not. So there's, I guess, another difference. I don't really know where the other differences are, but the fact that y'all were photographed together, you're sitting together with Matt Gaetz at that State of the Union address, both of you jumping up, hooting and hollering, yelling at Biden because you hate him so damn much. We had no reason to think y'all weren't best friends. But sure, that's the media's fault. That's our fault. We shouldn't have assumed that. But apparently these two just hate each other's guts. And I think it's going to get worse, and it's going to be a hell of a fun thing to watch, isn't it, folks? Because let's not forget, the more these Republicans are fighting each other. And Greene last week also picked a fight with Matt Gaetz again. Like, she went after him. So the more they're fighting with each other, the less they get along, the slimmer the chances that they'll be able to pass their legislation that they want to pass that will dramatically hurt Americans here in the United States. So more fighting, less legislating. Yeah, I can deal with that for the next 2 years. Hi, everyone. This here is little Athena. And Athena would like to know why you haven't subscribed to Fair and Balanced yet. So please, don't let Athena down. Subscribe today.